This is how we hit 3 to 6% conversion rates on just about every sales page we publish, even with cold Facebook traffic. And this is the simple 4-part framework we use to do it. Hey, I'm Jason, faith-based entrepreneur and marketing geek. Timestamps below, along with some other helpful links and resources, including a link to our funnel template pack that includes our top converting funnel pages, email campaign, course framework that allows you to go from idea to sales in just a few days. Now, when it comes to your sales page, there are actually 3 different ways to deploy it. So let's go through them and the small differences. At the end of the day, we'll be using the same simple 4-part conversion framework. Now, the traditional method of using a sales page as part of a sales funnel is we'll have a landing page, we'll have a thank you page, and then we'll have our emails drive traffic to our sales page. So that's option number 1. Option number 2 is instead of having a thank you page, we use something called a one-time offer page or OTO page in place of the thank you page. And this is essentially a sales letter that says, hey, you have the next 15, 24 minutes to purchase this awesome offer at this super low discount. Now, the third one is the strategy I personally like to use because I don't have time to make a bunch of different offers, and it gives people about 48 hours to take us up on that one-time deep discount. Now, the key here is the timer has to be real. More on that later. Now, when it comes to creating your sales page, you'll be able to use the same conversion framework for both types. And if you want to skip ahead and you don't want to go through the conversion framework, you don't need the copywriting, then here's the timestamp to do that. Otherwise, let's go through this. Now, when it comes to creating your sales pages, I like to use a very simple framework called AIDA. It stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And yes, it is the exact same one I use on our landing pages. If it converts and works, just keep using it, or something that would be a lot more catchy if GPT had helped me out with that one. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump through this. So at the very top here, we're going to have our attention section. And so this is actually made up of 3 elements. And the whole point of this section is to do one thing: compel people to actually read the sales letter. And that's it. We also acknowledge if someone has opted in, right? So if this is an OTO page, we have a special little section to let people know, hey, your lead magnet's on the way. Check out this awesome thing below. And then right below that, we have the countdown timer. So if you have an OTO page, you'll have that little section at the top. And then normal sales pages, just take away the little opt-in bridge, and it's the same formula from here. So the countdown timer will either be 15 to 24 minutes, or it could be 24 or 48 hours. 48 is probably the max, and maybe 10 or 15 is probably the minimum. So I realize it's a long range. You're like, wow, 10 minutes or 2 days. But essentially, it just depends on how you want to design your funnel. Again, personally, I do the 48-hour method because I like getting funnels done quickly, and I don't have time to make a bunch of offers to test, right? And so underneath that is going to be the real kind of meat of this particular section, and that's going to be your headline, where we are addressing a big result that our ideal customers want, or we're addressing a big roadblock that's standing in their way and saying, we can remove this roadblock for you so you can get the results that you want. And so that's all we have to do with our headline, right? So that's our grabbing attention. We're compelling them to just spend the next 10 or 15 minutes checking out our page, right? We don't have to do all the sales up there. Pretty much be impossible, right? So underneath that, we have our interest section. And so here we can have a picture of the offer, or we could have a 3 to 5 minute mini VSL. You can definitely, especially if it's under $25, you can just launch with a picture and then make the VSL later. You'll notice as we go through this, I am a huge proponent of just get it done and then make it better later, right? And then underneath that, you will want to have at least 5 or 7 bullet points that go through the specifics of the offer and really dives into what's in the offer and how it helps them achieve the results that they want and overcome and break the roadblocks that are standing in their way to the results that they want. And so that's all we need to do with this section. And then next, we want to, of course, create some desire. And part of creating desire is showing social proof, showing that there are other people in a similar situation that our ideal customers are in that have enjoyed the success and results that our ideal customers want. Now, if you don't have testimonials, you can go ahead and just quote yourself at the very bottom of the page. That's why I like having that section there. But when it comes to sales pages, testimonials really do go a long way. Even if the testimonials are just about you or your company, as long as you don't misrepresent the testimonials are about that specific product, make it clear that they're just about you and your company, especially if it's a new product. That's something that we like to do because if it's a new product, no one's used it yet, right? So we only have testimonials about people who've worked with us in other ways, right? So that's totally okay as long as that's clear. Then we have driving action. And so here, what we need to do is first remove the risk of purchase. And I realize this is a little controversial because a lot of people go,
well, I don't want to give a money back guarantee because people are just going to steal and take advantage of it.
Yes, people will still steal and take advantage of it even if you don't have a money back guarantee. So you might as well enjoy the conversion bonus boosting that comes from having a money back guarantee. Conversion bonus boosting. Wow, I'm not doing well with these rhymes or alliterations. So anyway, once you have that, I also really like having the checkout right on the sales page. This also makes it easier from a technical standpoint because that countdown timer goes to 0 and then everything goes away. I'm sure you've probably gone to checkout pages before where the sales page had a countdown timer, but the checkout page didn't. And so like you can go get Black Friday deals like 3 months from now. Probably shouldn't have said that, but that's something you can try because a lot of people forget to turn off their cart pages. They just turn off the sales page that was linked in the email. So if you're like, what on earth are you talking about? Don't worry about it. The point is having the checkout page, the checkout section on your sales page makes things a whole lot easier. And of course, as a quick little bonus, if you have a small ticket offer lying around, you can include that as an order bump. Someone just clicks the box and then it's automatically added to their order. No extra tech stuff needed to do this if you use Systemi or pretty much any other popular funnel builder here. And so that does it for the ADA framework and the major sections of our sales page. Now, if you want to skip ahead, you're not interested in all the sales copywriting formulas for this, here's the timestamp to jump straight into the page building. Otherwise, let's look at some copy. And let's kick things off with grabbing attention at the top of our sales page, making a bridge between our landing page and lead magnet to the offer we're making now, if it's an OTO page, that oh so powerful countdown timer and deep discount, and of course, our headline. So we'll go through an actual headline formula and a very simple way you can use this formula and other formulas to quickly brainstorm or at least get AI started for you, right? On the right track. Because we've all tried to use AI to write sales copy and it's still a little weird. So we'll figure it out from here. Now, when it comes to the first part of the section it's going to be your opt-in bridge. There's no magic here. We literally just say, check your inbox in 5 minutes. I've seen some sales pages say 10 or 15 minutes, but I think that's a little silly because we all know it doesn't take 10 minutes to send an email. So maybe saying 5 minutes is believable enough where you're like, okay, yeah, sure, it'll show up in 5 minutes. I have a little bit of time to check this out. That's all we're trying to do here. And then, of course, this particular example says video because I like having videos. You can obviously tell I like recording videos, despite the background noise sometimes. But if you just have a text sales letter, then you can just say something in effect of special offer below, because let's face it, as soon as they see the countdown timer, they know it's a sales page, right? Everybody knows what a sales page looks like by this point. Or there's another formula you can use and you can say, learn how to, and then fill in the blank with something that you're going to talk about in the sales letter that's going to help them achieve a result. You'll notice that I keep saying results and roadblocks. So anyway, one of the places you're not going to say results or roadblocks is going to be this next part is your countdown timer. Now, of course, if you are doing the OTO page method and this is like right now, you buy or you never see it again, then just set the timer to 10 or 15, 24 minutes max. And if they don't take you up on the offer, then they don't take you up on the offer. I'll have a little rant on this in a moment. And then for the discount, you're going to want this to be really big and compelling. Like this is part of what helps grab that attention and give people a reason to read now. Because when it comes to selling even services, but mostly, especially digital products, one of the biggest things in getting people to take action is, well, why don't I just wait until I think I really need it, right? If they think, oh, well, I'll get to that next week or I'll get to that next month, we all know life happens, they won't. And so we need to give people a compelling reason. No, this is why you should purchase this here even if you don't think you're going to, use it this week. Please don't wait till next week, because then the price is going to be full price again, right? So we're just giving them a real reason to purchase now versus just putting it on the back burner, aka completely forgetting about our awesome offer. And so this works really well as long as the offer is under $50 for a one-time offer page. And so we want it to be an impulse buy, and just make sure the discount's over 50% and you're good to go. Now, I do have a quick little rant here about the countdown timer, so bear with me. We've all been to those sales pages where we see the timer, and then maybe we accidentally refresh the page, or we go, this really isn't for me. And then you come back maybe just a day, sometimes a month later, and then you realize the countdown timer is the exact same. Now, pretty much all funnel builders allow you to do this. I just think it's wrong on many levels, but also it's actually going to hurt your conversions in the long run, because you're going to train your audience that you just lie about your timers. And that's not going to help your conversions, because then every time someone sees a timer from you, they're just going to think, oh, I can refresh the page and it's going to come back. So it's not real. And so I really strongly recommend that you make sure that your timers are actually real and you stick to them. I know every once in a while we get people who ask like, hey, can I please get the thing at the timer price? And I honestly say no. Our support team just says, no, the timer's real. So please wait till, 3 months down the road when we do the promotion again. So I'll get off my soapbox there. Just please use real timers. If nothing else, it's really going to help your long-term success in building your brand and not looking like all those other people who just fake their timers because they're trying to make a quick buck. So now that I'm off that soapbox, let's roll up our sleeves and actually do some copywriting. So here's the formula I like to use for sales pages. Of course, there's lots of different ones, but this is the one I like to start with. The power word way to result without roadblock. And we're actually going to start in the middle with the result and then build the rest of our headline around it. So similar to any other copywriting process you've seen on this channel, we're going to start by making a list of results. So just make a list of all of the results that your ideal customer wants and that your product actually delivers. And actually, sometimes we've made this list and we've changed what's in the product just so we can make the headline sound better, right? There's totally okay. It's the advantage of digital products. Just make sure you're not making stuff up. So as an example here, let's say I am a Facebook ads agency, always my go-to example here. And so if we make a list, people who are trying to run Facebook ads, they probably want to be more profitable. They want more leads and followers. They want their campaigns to be better. And they probably want to stop wasting their budget on bad ads. All right, great. So out of this list, we could go ahead and say our result is going to be design winning campaigns. And if this sounds oversimplistic, don't worry. By the time we're done with this formula, you go, oh, wow, it really is that easy. Hopefully. Or you could comment below and be like, Jason, this example makes no sense at all. Thanks for not helping. So anyway, we could have just as easily said the way to get more leads or increase sales or lower ad spend. You just want to play around with it. And of course, after you have just a little bit, just brainstorm for 5 minutes and then use AI. Your results will be so much better if you just put a little bit of effort in the beginning and get AI to go in the right direction. And then we want to make a list of roadblocks. That is, we know what they want. So what do they think is getting in the way? What are the giant roadblocks? That's why I like calling them roadblocks. And so we'll make a list of those, and then we'll decide which one is the biggest, most annoying, arduous, or painful right now. We can address all of these results and roadblocks later in our sales page when we're making our bullet points, and we'll pretty much do this exact process. But here we want to pick the big ones because we're trying to compel people to digest and read our sales letter. And so in this particular example, I have business owners are frustrated with, endless tutorials, and they're probably frustrated with their spend, right? And you can see how results and roadblocks can kind of feel the same with, on the one point, they want to have a better budget, and then on the other hand, they're tired of wasting money. So sometimes it's two sides of the same coin. So anyway, here, now I have way to design winning campaigns without costly experimentation. And then finally, we have power words. So here are a list of power words. This just adds some oomph to your headline, like new, best, proven, ultimate, those types of words that just add some weight to whatever it is you're talking about. So our end headline here would be the proven way to design winning campaigns, without costly experimentation. And so we're saying you're going to design winning campaigns. We could probably be more specific with what is a winning campaign? But for time purposes, we'll leave that alone. And without, costly experimentation, which implies you're going to stop wasting your money on seasoning your pixel, which used to be a thing that was painful, or just wasting money on bad campaigns, trying to figure out what design or what strategy is the best. And so that does it for writing your headline. Just spend 15 minutes playing around with this. Then AI can take and fill in the blanks for you, right? So the next part is going to be building interest. And this is where we're going to have our product image, or optionally, we can have a sales video here. And then of course, we're going to have our bullet points. And so our bullet points are all about essentially longer versions of our headline is a great way to put it. And we're just saying, hey, our product has this in it that allows you to get this result or allows you to break this roadblock. And that's it. And we'll actually cover the simple 4-part VSL framework later. So you can check that out if you want to do a actual video sales letter as part of your sales page. So let's go ahead, jump into a bullet point formula here. The template linked up in the description as part of the funnel pack has a bunch of these already set up for you that you can just fill in. I'm going to go ahead and choose one. Peek behind the curtain at our power word mechanism so you can result. And so just like we did with the headline, we're going to start by filling out the result. We already made a list of results, so let's just go ahead and choose a different one than the headline and plug that in. Here, I'm going to say confidently scale, and then we want to explain what will allow them to confidently scale. Now, this isn't where we say, okay, we're going to use this method, or I'm going to, start explaining exactly how to do it, right? We just want to give them a hint as to what allows them to get the result that they want. And this is what is called a mechanism, right? So this is going to be a feature of your offer. So here's a list of mechanisms. It is kind of the really standard, especially if you are doing a digital product. It's going to be a formula, a method, a system, a strategy. And so you can also name your formula, method, system, strategy, or template. And that way you kind of create some curiosity around it as well. So in this particular instance, I didn't give it a name. I just say campaign structure. So campaign structure, you're going to get campaign structures, and this feature will allow you to confidently scale, right? So I could have just as easily given the campaign structures a more proprietary name. Like for example, in one, we did the 3P squared method, and that is essentially just a consulting model, right? But we give it a name because it makes it sound a lot more important. And of course, it creates some curiosity as well. Again, we're not making anything up here. We're just helping people understand what's in our product and how those different individual components are going to allow them to get the results that they want. Probably talked too long on that. So let's go ahead and move on. Finally, we use a power word or phrase to spice up the bullet. And so our final bullet reads, peek behind the curtain at our highest performing campaign structures so you can confidently scale. So I'll leave a link in the cards and the description to a much deeper dive copywriting guide that goes through lots more bullet point formulas and headline formulas. For time purposes, we're just going to, move on. And again, the template linked up in the description has pages where all of these formulas are there. You just plug them in. So now let's go ahead and talk about creating some desire. And the second to last section of your sales page is going to use the power of story, social proof, social proof, and empathy to sell your product or service. Now, of course, the best thing here is obviously testimonials about your product. It really does go a long way, even if you only have a couple of them, of other people in a similar situation to your ideal customer who have taken this product and started to achieve or have achieved the same results your ideal customer cares about. Now, a second thing you can do here is have some testimonials of people who've worked with you in the past or purchased other products or services. Please just make it clear that that's what they're talking about and they're not talking about this specific product or service. I've also seen other people's funnels as well, because we do a lot of swipe file building. That's just analyzing other funnels. And we will see the same 5 testimonials across 10 different products. It's kind of ridiculous. So anyway, a distant third is using a formula like this to do a self quote. So you essentially say, hey, I was in a similar situation. I used this, strategy, formula, technique, method, or I used, this way, and I was able to achieve these results. And of course, the results you achieved should be very similar to that list of results you made earlier that your product delivers, and of course, your ideal customers want to achieve. So you can see here, even when we're doing quotes, talking about our own story, we are always looping it back. I'm just going to do this ridiculous thing, looping it back to our ideal customer. And so that's what we want to do with this quote section. But after saying all that, real testimonials are always going to be the best way to create desire. Now, the last part of our sales page, unless you're going to be doing a VSL, we can get to that later, is going to be action. And there's two main parts here. Obviously, there's going to be your checkout function or the button to your checkout page. That's pretty self-explanatory, so we'll skip that for now. And we will just talk about the guarantee. So unless you have a really compelling reason or you are ready to roll up your sleeves and fight with some credit card companies over a $50 charge, please just give a guarantee. I see so many comments of people concerned about piracy, about theft, about abuse of the guarantee, and those are all 100% true and 100% warranted. We get emails every month of people, and we can see they went through the entire course in one day and then told us that it stunk and they wanted a refund. But for every one of those, there's 100, 200 customers who were happy, and you never really know how many people purchased just because they had the safety of the money-back guarantee. I can tell you from personal experience, there's a lot of stuff I don't purchase because I don't have the money-back guarantee. And really, as great as our sales pages are, people are still taking a big risk actually trusting us because let's face it, there are a lot of terrible courses out there, right? So when it comes to digital products, there's probably more bad ones than good ones. And so this is just a great way to boost your conversion rates. You're really not missing out. And those people who are going to abuse this will abuse it whether you have a guarantee or not. So you can use this simple formula to create your kind of ironclad or triple level guarantee, if you will. And this is essentially just saying, hey, if you don't like it for any reason, you can go ahead and refund it. Now, if you're doing physical products or services, yeah, you probably don't want to have such a loose guarantee. And I can tell you personally, when I ran an agency, we did not do guarantees on services at all. As soon as I have to pay an employee, I'm not giving you a refund because I'm not going to go to the employee and say, hey, the client just didn't like your work, right? So unless you're doing services, you could probably have some form of a reasonable guarantee. Probably spent too much time on that. So let's go ahead and move on to a little bonus here, and that's going to be your order bump. And so inside of your checkout process, you can include this little thing where you say, hey, the $5 or $10, I've seen order bumps as high as 17, but I guess they work, where they can just check a box and they can also add that to their order. So that's another optional thing you can have if you happen to have the checkout this whole checkout form on your sales page, like I recommend. And so that does it for the ADA framework applied to your sales page. Again, if you'd like to skip the copywriting and jump into building the page, here's the timestamp to do that. Otherwise, let's talk about the optional Hawk VSL formula that you can use at the top of your sales page to really kick it up a notch. All right, so at the top of your sales page, normally you'll just launch with an image of your product. But once you've done all the work of writing a sales page, you probably have enough to go ahead and put together a quick 3 to 5 minute video. No, we don't have to show our face. It can all be slides. I can tell you from personal experience, trying to memorize any sort of video stinks. I always paraphrase these, for example. You could probably tell because I ramble quite a bit. Speaking of rambling, let's get back to the point. So this video will just replace that image at the top, and it's designed to hook your ideal customers in, demonstrate your authenticity, deliver a quick little workshop, and then, of course, kickstart them to action. And with these highlighted words, the acronym is HAWK. Now, why HAWK? Because I was just trying to come up with something I thought sounded cool, and I was playing with different copywriting frameworks, and Hawk kind of stood out. So let's go ahead and run with it. So let's talk about hook, right? So when it comes to hooking our ideal customers in, this is going to be the first 90 seconds of our video, and we're going to do 3 things. We'll start with a simple enrolling question, asking them if they have the problem that our product solves. And then we go ahead and define what the problem is. And then we agitate a little bit because we need people to take action today. And so instead of just saying, hey, do you have this problem? This problem causes XYZ. We say, and if you don't fix it now, it's also going to cause ABC. Now, you could fill it in with like real words, but that's essentially what we're doing here. We're asking an enrolling question, defining what the problem is, and then agitating it by saying, hey, this is going to get worse if you don't solve it. So that does it for our hook. So next we have authenticity. This is the part where, like you're watching a webinar and they like go on for 30 minutes about how awesome they are and all the things they've accomplished. And you're just like, this is a snooze fest. So we don't want to do that to people. And this is a 3-minute video instead of a 3-hour webinar. So here we have like, let's say 60, 90 seconds max, where we are going to do a humble introduction, and we just have to demonstrate that we know what we're talking about, right? We just need to show some sort of quick proof that we have some level of authority for what we're about to deliver in our workshop and, of course, in whatever offer that we're making. And so this definitely doesn't need to turn into a brag snooze fest. And that's why I like keeping this section as short as possible so we can get into the next section, which is the workshop. And this is going to be the bulk of your content. This is where you might have 2 to 3, maybe even 3.5 minutes. If you have 4 minutes, then you're way too long and the video is longer than 5 minutes anyway at this point. So all we want to do is either deliver a quick explanation as to what they need to do to achieve the results that they want, not how, but what. We're just giving them an overview. It's a 3-minute video. We don't have time to get into the details. Or we could show some sort of product demonstration and how whatever it is we have to offer will help them achieve the results that they want. And through that demonstration, they see what they need to do. And so this is really important. So as an example, we have a Google Ads launch kit, and part of it talks about how we go about structuring campaigns so that we get a good combination of ads and keywords and lower cost per clicks and all that other fun stuff. But inside there, we actually share our formula for what we do. Now, do we go into each intricate detail of like, we do this keyword and we do that ad? Like, no, we only have 3 minutes again. But if someone doesn't purchase, they know our general methodology and they could actually understand what we do and they could actually go start applying that methodology. And so one of the things that I've noticed too in trying to teach other students how to do this is there's this fear that, oh no, I'm going to give too much away. You literally can't give too much of your product away in 3 minutes. It's physically impossible. So you don't have to worry about holding back here. Like there's some big secret that you have to hold for your course or digital product. You can show what they need to do and your product will still be valuable. So anyway, we'll move on to the final section, which is super easy. Kickstart. We're going to tell them exactly what they want, what we want them to do. We could also have a guarantee in here. I tend not to have my guarantees inside of the VSL because I don't like having stuff that I have to re-record. So if I'm testing like a 30-day or 90-day or versus 60-day, I don't want to have to re-edit the video. So sometimes when it comes to numbers or pricing as well in this Kickstart section, I wouldn't say numbers out loud, just have them on the slides. And that way you can easily change the slides and you don't have to edit the video. Just a quick little tip to save you some time with video editing. Because as you can see with this example, it can be all text slides, all voiceover, and it's really easy to go back to a video and just pop in a new slide as long as you don't have to edit the audio. As soon as you have to edit the audio, then it kind of becomes a nightmare. And that's all there is to it, to writing a quick 3 to 5 minute video using the Hawk VSL formula. So let's jump into Systemi and start building out your sales page. Now, when you grab the free template linked up in the description, you'll see here that we actually have a sales page that's formatted as a order form. And this is because on the free plan, you actually have a page limit. So we did our best to make sure that we condense the funnel as much as possible. So if you are on the free plan, you can maximize its usage. And when it comes to having multiple sales letters, if you want multiple sales letters, then all you have to do is click the 3 little dots and duplicate that, and you can have more than one sales letter. Just remember that if you do, then you also need to have multiple confirmation pages. There's some other intricacies that we'll get to in a moment, but that's all you need to know when it comes to setting up your sales page using the template in the description. So let's go ahead and edit this. And when you open up the template, you'll see here that this is all already laid out for us. All we need to do is drop in our own copy, images, and of course, update some of the colors. So the first thing I like to do with any page that I'm working on, hop over to typography, make sure we got all of our defaults set so we don't have to do the same settings all over again. And then when it comes to SEO, of course, like all funnel pages, doesn't matter, just leave it blank. And then, of course, make sure you open up the header code and add your tracking pixels from whatever platforms you're using, or at the very least, Google Analytics. For this one, if you're on a paid plan, you can actually uncheck this box, and that will make sure that people stay focused on your offer. So I don't want to split people's focus for this particular page. And then when it comes to what we need to edit here, the first thing we need to do is change out all of our colors. Then, of course, we're going to add our images and text and edit our countdown timer. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing, of course, we'll do is we'll come over here, click on any element that's blue, come in and change it to whatever your company color is. And so I'd recommend doing that all the way down. So if for some reason my colors were purple, I'd go ahead and start changing all of the colors here, and I'd even change the font to, whatever our purple color is. Wow, that is bright. So make sure you go ahead and do that first thing. That way we have a nice congruency of colors throughout. 2 colors max, other than black, right? Black, white, and your primary color, and then maybe another color for your button here because you want it to stand out. But after that, you're good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and undo all of that because that purple is quite bright. And since I don't need to swap out the logo, I'll go ahead and start here with the opt-in bridge. Now, this is designed, of course, if we are using this right after a landing page. So if you don't need an opt-in bridge, then all you have to do is come over to this row and go ahead and delete it. And then you'll be all set and good to go, right? So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. And to save us some time, I have our copy pre-written here. So I'll just go ahead and copy it, jump back over here, and I'll hit Command-Shift-V on Mac, Control-Shift-V on Windows, so that you match the formatting. And then I'll go ahead and say your Facebook audit arrives in 5 minutes. I'll go ahead and bold that, and then I'll bold this, ROAS. So people know their audit is on the way, and in the meantime, they should check out this cool offer. Next, we have the discount. Now, the discount here, of course, I recommend having it over 50. I think in my example, it's going to be, exactly 50% off. And this just needs to be something big and bold, giving people a reason to keep going down the page. Now let's talk about the countdown timer, because of all the elements on this page, this is probably one of the most complicated. Nope, it is the most complicated. So that's what we're going to start with. So once you click on the countdown timer here, and of course, you can always come over to elements and drag in anything else that you want. But when it comes to the countdown timer, we have a lot of different options. We can have it reset daily, which I don't recommend. You could have it set as your deadline funnel settings. Now, this is something if you have multiple pages that have countdown timers and you want all the timers to be in sync. So this is something that's advanced. I don't even bother with this with our funnels. Honestly, it's a little overkill in my book, but especially if you're doing something like a launch sequence or you have some fancy webinar thing that you saw some big guru doing and you want to try, go for it. But I personally don't use this because on the free plan, we're limited on pages, and this winds up taking more pages than I want. So, and then of course, to fix date and time, like let's say you're doing a Cyber Monday, Black Friday deal, we've done this quite a bit, then you'd go ahead and make sure that you set it for a specific time. But do make sure you check your time zone, right? Because this is going to be based upon your account time zone. So I've had times where I say, yeah, it ends at 12. And then, people on the other side of the world are going, hey, it ended at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for me. What the heck? So fixed date and time is always fun to play with. So for this instance, I'm going to leave it at delay. Now, what this means right now, 48 hours, is as soon as someone hits this, like let's say they hit it Monday morning, 7 a.m. They have 48 hours from Monday morning, 7 a.m. to take me up on this offer, or the Systemi system is going to lock them out and say, sorry, the offer's expired. So if we fast forward 24 hours, that's Tuesday at 7 a.m., and then another 24 hours is Wednesday at 7 a.m. So they have until Wednesday at 7 a.m. to take me up on this offer. Now, if someone opts in on Tuesday at 7 a.m., they have until Thursday. That's because the countdown timer is based upon when someone sees this page for the first time. Hopefully that makes sense. So, of course, you can set days or hours. I like using hours. I think it's a little more dramatic. And then, of course, minutes. So if this was a one-time offer and I only wanted to give them 15 minutes, I could do something like that. And I'd say like 15 minutes and 3 seconds or something silly like that. And then that way they only have 15 minutes to take us up on this offer. And after that, it is gone. And so the only other thing to note with the countdown timer here is there is a redirect URL. So when the timer expires, we need to send people somewhere. Now, we went ahead and set up this generic offer expired page. Yes, I know it is the most immaculately designed page you have ever seen. Yes, I'm being sarcastic, but the point is we set this up for you because if you're using the free plan, we don't want you wasting a page on an offer expired. So this is a generic thing. You can just leave that URL there. And then in the future, when you upgrade or you want to be more advanced with your free plan, you can go ahead and put in your own URL. And we have a pledge that we will not change this page. Like, it will look silly and ugly, but it will work for everyone, and you can at least test out Systemi, use the free plan, and not waste one of your valuable pages on a page that says your offer has expired. So I think that does it for the countdown timer. Probably spent way longer than we needed to. Let's go ahead and hop over to our headline here. So again, I'm just going to grab from one of our course templates here, and I'll go ahead and Command-Shift-V, Control-Shift-V on Windows. I'm using a Mac, that's why I just say Command. And then I'll go ahead and grab our headline as well. Now, something to note here, I do this in our products because I like the way it looks, but when you are copying something over, you need to make sure that you don't have any space or actual line breaks in it. So for example, when I mean line break, I mean don't manually hit enter when you're copying something in. So that's why I did that, to make sure that I am copying in things as plain text. And so then I could say exploit the FB algorithm in the next 7 days. That looks good. And then, of course, to play with the sizing, because I don't want to, like, let's say if I did this, if I hit enter, obviously if we go to mobile preview, it doesn't. Systemi, you're making it look good, but then you're making me look bad. It doesn't look terrible, but it still looks silly, right? Like this shouldn't be so spaced. Oh boy, this shouldn't be spaced out, and that just looks silly like that. So what we want to do, of course, is we will go ahead and change the margin. So we'll change the margin here, and we'll probably, oops, that's the top margin. We don't want to change that, but we change the left and right margin. So we'd either expand it so we could get more onto one line. Obviously that didn't work because customers is a really long word. So maybe we'd try playing with the spacing more, bringing the spacing in and trying to, play with things. But sometimes you'll find that, as in this particular instance, it just kind of looks bad. If you go to mobile preview and you're like, whoa, what is wrong with this? You can go ahead and click the gears icon, and then you can go ahead and start changing the line height. So I'll change the line height to 25, and then that way it looks good on mobile and desktop. Then we'll get to our building interest section. So here we'd either go ahead and upload our product image, and of course you can change the sizing. And if you have a VSL, you can actually upload it directly to Systemi. You don't have to be using Wistia or Vimeo. And so all we need to do for that is find the video. We'd go ahead and drop that video in here. And then, of course, we can come over here and say file upload and upload it directly. Please don't use YouTube for your sales videos, because YouTube's going to really distract your viewers by suggesting a bunch of other things. And then, of course, we have our bullet points section. So to save us some time, I'll just come over here and we will speed up the copy paste. And just like that, we have our bullet points pasted in. Of course, you can always come over here and play with the font sizing, the line height, the vertical spacing. I like keeping the icons very simple so they're not distracting. And then when it comes to bolding your text, I just bold it so I imagine someone just scrolling or skimming through, if it makes sense. I always say scrolling for some reason. So as an example here, if someone isn't reading and they're just looking at what's bolded, they see AI campaigns, eliminate wasted ad spend, focus on high value leads, launch your own buyer campaigns with the same budget you have now, build winning campaigns in minutes, consistently craft high converting ads, only run your ads at peak conversion hours, broke to profitable in 72 hours. So the only thing that I think is a bad thing to bold would be broke to profitable in 72 hours, because it's bold. It sounds cool, but there's no context around it. Whereas all these other bolds make sense without having to read the bullets. So that's kind of a quick way to figure out, like, what should I be bolding? If someone's just skimming through it, will it still make sense? So now we would move on to the, of course, desire sections. And this is going to be where you drop in your testimonials. If you don't have any testimonials, then just go ahead and delete the section and you're good to go. We'd probably go ahead and add some spacing though. So I would go ahead and click on this row, and on the margin, I would just, add 50 or something like that, and we should be good to go. But I'll go ahead and undo that for now, and we'll bring that back. Now, I went ahead and saved changes. Something I forgot to mention here is that this back button really only works 3 or 4 times. So make sure you constantly hit save. And a little editing snafu for us, I had to redo all of this because I actually could not get this back. So do make sure you constantly hit save. And that way, if the undo button stops working for whatever reason, you don't lose too much stuff. So that does it for our desire section. And then, of course, down here, you could go ahead and put your self quote if you wanted to. So I've got a little self quote here. So I just go ahead and drag, get that, and drop it in. And that's a lot of text. So I'd probably come over here, play with margin, and probably add, like 50 on either side to center it a little more. And then I'd come up here and probably add a little bit of line height so it's not so daunting. But that is quite a bit of text. So I'll go ahead and click on save. And now we're ready for the Kickstart action driving part of our sales page here. We'll start with our money back guarantee. So I'll come over here, I'll take my money back guarantee text, and all we're essentially saying is, hey, take as much time as you need, and if for whatever reason you don't like it, then just let us know and we'll give you your money back. It's funny, people pretty much expect to get money back guarantees these days, especially with digital products. And we, even before we started offering them, we would still get people just emailing like, hey, could I get a refund for this? Even though we didn't have one. Those conversations are kind of awkward. Be like, actually, this offer didn't have one. That's why it was so cheap. It was pre-launch, but whatever, right? So this is definitely going to help you with your conversions. And of course, we have the checkout section to actually collect that payment information. Now, the first part of our checkout section will be the secure seals. So you can see here, I have a couple right here that we made inside of Canva. You, of course, can go ahead and make your own seals. Like, these are generic things in Canva. I'm pretty sure you can find them and copy them pretty quick, even if you're on the free plan. So I just have a image of 256 encryption because we're using Stripe, 30-day money back guarantee, which is technically part of your risk removal. And then I wanted 3. And so I just did the stars thumbs up, right? It doesn't actually mean anything, but what does mean something is we will not share your information. I think it's really important to still include that on pages, because sharing of information and email spam really is still a problem. So that does it for your secure seals section. So then we have some testimonials, and you'll see here these are very, very short. All you need to do to update them is click on the image here. You will need to format the image in a circle already. And of course, you can play with the image sizing as well. I'll just go ahead and leave it at 81 because I think that sizing looks pretty good. And what's also nice is when you upload your own images, they should drop in around the same size. And of course, if you have video testimonials, put them in a different section, put them in a different part of your sales process. So that's pretty much it for the testimonials. I'll get to all this desktop only stuff in a moment. And then for all access, we want to, of course, have an image of our offer. If you have a video sales letter at the top and maybe you didn't put a product image anywhere else, just make sure you have some image that represents what the offer is. You know, the offer name, congratulations, the offer name, super basic. You're probably like, why are we even going through this, right? We're just trying not to screw up the sale. Like that's literally all we have to do here. Just don't screw up the sale. And then we'll get to all the payment stuff because that kind of gets advanced. And then of course over here we have just a couple bullet points summarizing the discount, right? So I like having that timer at the top along with a huge percent discount. So here we're saying the dollar amount that they're saving, a quick little overview of everything that they're getting. And then for the risk removal part, of course, I have a 30-day money-back guarantee that I have here. Actually, on my sales page, it says 90, so I should probably change this to 90 because that is confusing. And then I'd go ahead and type in, 90 days here. Now, before I get to the one thing that we would add here that breaks the rule of trying not to mess up the sale, is you'll see here that all of these elements have been formatted to desktop only. This is really something to think about, especially when you're making your checkout sections. So if I click on mobile here, and I scroll down to our checkout section, you'll see that this part looks pretty nice, but all the bullet points and all the testimonials went away. I might actually even remove my self-testimonial at the bottom. So this is if you don't have testimonials, this is where, of course, you'd put your self-quote and just put yourself at the very bottom. But I think it's important to make sure that you're always previewing whatever you're making in the mobile view, because here, if we tried to add the testimonials and add all of the summary, I think that would take away too much from just completing the payment form, right? And honestly, someone on a mobile device is much more likely to be doing an impulse buy than like meticulously going through every individual thing on your sales page. So we do want it to be relatively easy and quick for someone to go through that process. But we click again, you'll see all that extra information is on the desktop. Now there is one thing we might want to add, just one, that breaks the rules. So I'm using a two-step form. We'll go through how that works in a moment. But if I go to step number 2, you'll see here I have something called a order bump, right? So this is going to be where for an extra 3, 5, 7, maybe $14. I think 14 is probably a little high, but a quick little offer. Hey, you can also get this thing right now. Now, if your one-time offer is a impulse buy, this is like the ultra impulse buy, right? Like this should be so low, it's just like, yeah, whatever, sure, throw it in the cart, right? It's like 50 cents. Well, probably not 50 cents, but that's kind of the price point we're going for here. Now, yes, it still needs to be valuable, and we also need to make sure that someone doesn't look at it and go, I think that should be in what I'm buying. Feels like you're just adding it on because you're trying to get more money. So it really should feel like a nice little add-on bonus. But that's the only new thing we'd want to do. And Systemi, of course, will add some credit card logos for us, which helps with the secure seals and adding some credibility and security to our checkout process. So that does it for all of the elements that we want. And using our STAR framework, secure seals, trusting testimonials, and all access, and of course, risk removal. So now let's talk about the complex part, which is this two-step payment form and then actually setting up your payment options. Now, when it comes to the order form, this is actually something unique to this particular page type. So when you are creating your own funnels and not using this template, you need to make sure you select the order form page type when creating your page in order to have these payment options. Again, that is one of the few parts when you're building things that is really important you choose the correct page type. So I'll go ahead and click and drag in this two-step order form so you can see what it looks like before you start doing all the formatting. So the first thing we're going to do, take out all the stuff we don't need, right? We don't need the shipping address, city, state, postal code, unless you're actually physically shipping something. But for us, this is a digital product or even services, you don't need it. So we just go ahead and delete all this information. Just like other parts of your sales funnel, the more information you ask for, the lower your conversions will be. So I'd go ahead and just leave it first, last name, email, and then when I click on this, I'll have to click over here to step number 2 and to be able to see and edit whatever is on step number 2. So the nice advantage of using this 2-step checkout is it reduces the initial friction to get started. And it builds on a psychological principle called micro commitments. And that is where we want our potential customers taking small actions that build up over time, as opposed to just like, bam, here's everything at once, fill it out and let's go, right? So it's just kind of baby steps. Also, it allows you to collect their contact information before they've actually purchased. So if for some reason they go through step number 1, but they don't go through step number 2, you can actually have an email automation that goes out to them and says, hey, you forgot to complete checkout. Come back and finish the checkout, which is really cool. Now, you do need to be on the paid plan to do that because you're going to run out of the limitations on automations, but it is something really cool you can do in the future if you decide to upgrade. Now, when it comes to further customizing this form, if you wanted to add another form field, all we'd have to do is head on over to our elements here, and we can go ahead and click and drag form input. And of course, we can move it where we want. And then, of course, we can come up here, click on it first, settings, and tell Systemi what kind of input field it is. And of course, it will be added to our customer's contact information. And so I'll go ahead and delete that. Now, the other thing that we'll want to do, if you want to customize how this looks, you see there's a bunch of extra text. Maybe we don't want all of that. Sub-headlines here, you can go ahead and remove those. So I won't spend too much time because by this point, you've probably figured out how to use Systemi. It's pretty easy. And of course, we already have it pre-formatted for you down here. But you'll notice that this is a order bump element. And just like the order form is unique to this type of page, the order bump element is. So I would put it in step number 2, and I go ahead and click, and I drag the order bump element here, and I will put it right beneath the credit card. And then I'm actually going to move the, if I can actually click it, move the summary of the order down below, because what will happen when you see when we create our payment settings, wow, Systemi, you're making me look really dumb right now. Come on, there we go. It's below. Is this will give a summary. So if they click the order bump, it'll also show them the order bump and their total price. And so we want to make sure that they clearly see the total price before they click the button. And actually the button, I don't like having subtext there for that. So there we go. And so when it comes to order bumps, you'll set up the pricing and everything in a little bit, but this is a basic format that we like to use. And this is just a really easy way to increase your average transaction value. This should be less than $10. I have order bumps that are $5, and I've seen order bumps as high as $17 or $19. I've seen some order bumps that are the same price as the offer, and sometimes they're more. But you know what? Who am I to judge? If it's converting and working, then by all means do it. But for the most part, it's going to be something that's significantly less than what your main offer is selling for. So I'll go ahead and delete that. And so with that, we are all set. We've designed the checkout page or the checkout section of our sales funnel. So now what we need to do, of course, is set up our payments, right? We need to choose how we can get paid, and then we also need to choose the actual pricing. So that's what we'll go ahead and do. I'll go ahead and exit here, and I'm not going to save those changes that I just made. Now, the first thing we need to do is set up our payment processors. So to do that, we'll hop on over to our settings here and click on payment gateways, and then you'll see a bunch of options here. Now, when it comes to the different options, I highly recommend, if you can't use Stripe, try and avoid PayPal, but if you have to use PayPal, oh well, but I wouldn't actually voluntarily use PayPal anymore. It's become quite a headache, and typically, especially with digital products, they almost always side with the customer, irrespective of what your terms of use are. And the refunds gets really murky, right? Because you want people to reach out to you to ask for refunds, but instead they start filing claims with PayPal. Then PayPal gets upset, holds your money longer, and it's a mess, right? But also some of these other ones, I recently had a coaching student who found out that some of these other ones have limitations based upon the country you might be in. So make sure that you come up here to help and you go through Systemi's documentation for each one of these, because you may find that you think the payment processor is going to be able to do what you want, but for whatever reason, there might be some limitations that you haven't thought of. I'm lucky, I'm in the States, so I can use Stripe, and Stripe works just fine. Luckily, I haven't had any problems, I shouldn't say any problems. I've had problems with them, but not so many problems where I'd say you got to find something else. And so that's all there is to setting up your payment gateways. So now I'll jump back over to our funnel, and it's time to set up our pricing. So the first one, I'll do it relatively quickly, right? We just click the plus button. If you wanted to connect your course or membership site or a community, that's what you can do under resources. And then we can go ahead and choose a pricing plan that we already have and click on save. Now, of course, if you're doing this for the first time or you want to create a new pricing plan for the same product, then we can go ahead and click the plus button here, and we can actually create a new one. And so this is going to be where you give your pricing plan a name. Now this name is going to show up on the actual sales page. So it should pretty much be exactly whatever the offer is called. Then this name is your internal one, right? So maybe you have in parentheses version 1 or the actual price point, like the $97 one. And this is the $195 version or whatever, if you're like playing with different combinations of products. Or you might just be testing different price points for the same product. And then these descriptor, this is where you want to be super plain, super boring, take off your marketing hat, take off your sales hat, and just think like an accountant, right? Because this is what's going to show up on their bank statement. So don't embarrass your customers with what you put there, right? I'll have that, we're going through things and you look at it and go, what on earth did you buy, sweetie? So anyway, go ahead and make sure that it's professional, right? And then of course the pricing plan, you choose the type it is. So like, let's say we have a payment plan here, or you want to have a free trial period. My gosh. You can get complex like that. Or we can just go ahead and say a subscription, which also has a trial period, or go down to a one-time payment, and we'll just say this is going to be like $50 or something. And then we could go ahead and click save. So I'll go ahead and exit out of that because we don't need to do that. Now, if you want to have an order bump, you do need to add that information here. So I'll click on add order bump. It's going to be a digital product, and I'll click on pricing plan. And of course, I'd need to create a new plan. Now, because I already have one, I'll go ahead and exit out, and I will just use the same pricing plan that I used for the first one here. So they allow me to do that. I'll go ahead and click on save. And just like that, we've set up our pricing for both of our products. So now if we come to view funnel step here and we preview, we can come down to our checkout page or checkout page section, fill out some fake information, click on continue here. And now you can see there's a place to enter your credit card information. They have the types of credit card processors, the types of credit cards that are accepted. And then what's also cool here is as soon as someone clicks here, you'll see that it will be added to their summary so they can see exactly how much they're about to be charged. Now, this is also important where you need to check your math and numbers, right? So if you're hard coding, if you will, if you're typing in what the price is, you want to make sure that the price here is the same here. And then you also want to make sure that if you have any prices over on the side, you have a % discount, that the percentages make sense, the dollars off make sense, and the totals make sense. So just do that to make sure you don't wind up like me with some embarrassing emails being sent like, hey, by the way, there's a decimal point there, or you divided by 4 when you should have divided by 2. I did that in an email the other month, and I looked and went, wow, yeah, I have no idea what I was thinking. So definitely double check your math. But with that, once you have those payment things set up, you're ready to actually collect payments and start making some sales because your checkout section is complete. Now, remember, you can deploy this strategy 100% free using Systemi.io. So link in the description to set up that free account If you ever decide to upgrade in the future, we do receive a commission as a way to support this channel. And of course, we also have a link to our template pack so you can copy our funnel pages, our email campaign, as well as our course framework so you can go from idea to sales as quickly as possible. So hit that like button, subscribe for more marketing guides and deep dive tutorials just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.